It's another beautiful Thursday evening. Thanks for joining us on the news on NTA International. I am Elizabeth Omori. Now let's take a look at the headlines. National Security Council meets. Buhari renews commitment to secure and safer Nigeria. Operation Lafia Dole neutralizes Boko Haram elements in northeastern Nigeria as map-up of terrorists intensifies. COVID-19, Burundi orders World Health Organization officials to leave the country. Thank you so much for joining us. President Muhammadu Buhari has vowed to do whatever it takes within available resources and limits of the law to deal decisively and proactively with the various security challenges bedeviling the country. He said Nigerians deserve a much more peaceful environment and that nothing will be left to chance towards making the future sustainable. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo reports that the president made the promise at an extraordinary meeting of the National Security Council.
The meeting of the National Security Council was summoned by President Muhammadu Buhari to discuss and find solutions to the most critical issues affecting Nigeria's national security. The meeting had in attendance Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, Ministers of Justice, Defense, Interior, Police, as well as Foreign Affairs. Others were the Service Chiefs and the Inspector General of Police, Directors General, Department of State Services and the National Intelligence Agency, Director of Defense Intelligence and other stakeholders. The National Security Advisor, Babagana Munguno, who coordinated the meeting, presented various memoranda which were considered in respect of the prevailing challenges of security facing the country. These include terrorism and insurgency in the northeast, armed banditry, kidnapping, and other acts of crime and criminality in parts of the country.
You of course know that we are all firmly in the crosshairs of all kinds of criminal elements trying to undermine national security. I stressed to Council that there is a need for collective action, not just by the security agencies, but by all ministries, departments, and agencies of government, as well as civil societies and other non-governmental organizations within Nigeria.
President Muhammadu Buhari, who noted with concern all the issues raised, described as unacceptable that Nigerians still live in fear. He challenged all those responsible for maintaining peace and national security to remain alive to their responsibilities, as explained by the National Security Advisor.
Mr. President is fully on board, committed to doing whatever is necessary to reduce the spate of violence and insecurity in the country, spending whatever resources he has at his disposal to bring a quick end to all the issues, bringing a lot of sorrows to Nigerians. And he will redouble his efforts in ensuring that the primary responsibility of government, which is to ensure the safety of lives and property, is realized.
The National Security Council was also brought up to speed by the Chairman, Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 and Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustapha, on efforts at controlling and containing the coronavirus pandemic in the country.
He gave a comprehensive brief on the gains made so far, highlighting areas of concern, areas that need urgent attention and possible solutions.
The National Security Council, which meets on quarterly basis, has a constitutional mandate of advising the President on all matters relating to public security. From the State House, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
Still on security, 9 Boko Haram terrorists have been killed in an ambush by troops of Sector 1 of Operation Lafia Dole. A statement by the Acting Director, Army Public Relations, Colonel Sagid Musa, indicates that the terrorists were eliminated at one of their regular crossing points at Mainok Jangana axis in Kaga local government area of Borno State. Colonel Musa notes that 2 gun trucks mounted with anti-aircraft guns were recovered from the operation. Meanwhile, the Anti-Child Theft Unit of the Akwa Ibom State Police Command has apprehended 5 child stealing and trafficking syndicates. A statement by the Police Public Relations Officer Frederick Nodam says the syndicate were apprehended following a tip-off from a concerned citizen. The State Police Command enjoins members of the public not to relent in giving useful information to the police in order to assist security operatives serve the people better. The Operation Safe Haven in Jos has taken responsibility for the unfortunate death of a 19-year-old 300-level student of the University of Jos by one of its security operatives. Kim Watts reports.
The mood of the entire Holshe community was that of pains, sorrows and tears as they mourned and cried for justice over the killing of Rinji Peter, a 19-year-old 300-level student of the Department of History and International Studies, University of Jos. Narrating the incident, an eyewitness, Henry Isaac, was among those arrested by the vigilante on Otonko Road and handed over to the soldiers along 18th Street.
When the soldiers reached, they didn't wait to hear what happened exactly. They just told them, they handcuffed them and then forced them into the hillocks. They told them to go. And the soldiers were unmasked, so we don't know exactly, we could not see their face to point out who exactly did it. When I saw them in the hillocks, I had to run back home to tell their parents about what happened.
We went out to find out every investigation and nothing fruitful yet. And we want this thing. Justice must come in.
We've all just woken up. Most of the people, the youth, the young men that were involved, because I gathered that there's 2 batches of youth, people at the scene, and then those that have been taken away in the hillocks. Now the whereabouts of those who had been taken away in the hillocks last night are still not known.
A statement signed by the media officer of the Operation Safe Haven, Major Ibrahim Shitu, gave a report of the incident, stating that at about 10 p.m. of May 12, 2020, information was received on the activities of suspected armed robbers and cultists operating around 18th Street in Jos South local government area. Consequently, the statement says the Sector 1 patrol of the Operation Safe Haven swiftly responded and arrested 7 suspects, which were moved to the headquarters of Sector 1 for preliminary investigation. Thereafter, 5 out of the 7 suspects were cleared and asked to leave the premises. Unfortunately, one of the personnel on security duty mistook them for escaping suspects and opened fire on them, which led to the death of Rinji Peter Bella. The Operation Safe Haven spokesman said a thorough investigation is ongoing to unravel the circumstances surrounding the incident, as the Mopol personnel involved in the incident has been arrested and detained. Operation Safe Haven condemned the sad incident, as its representatives also visited the parents of the deceased to commiserate with them, with assurance of justice to the public. In Jos, Kim Gotts, NTA News.
At its weekly meeting, the Federal Executive Council approved an amendment to the 2020-2022 Medium-Term Expenditure Framework and the 2020 Appropriation Act. Joining us now in the studio to discuss these amendments is Dr. Ken Okaoha, International Trade and Economics Lawyer and President, National Association of Nigerian Traders. Dr. Okaoha, thank you so much for coming to our studio.
Thank you very much.
All right, the Federal Executive Council has approved an amendment to the 2020-2022 Medium Expenditure Framework. How necessary is this step?
I think this is a very necessary step, knowing that we have come to a point where we have our expectations almost, rolling off, in the sense that revenue had depleted.
Okay.
The appropriation 2020, which was benchmarked at $57 per barrel of crude oil, which essentially is our main revenue generator, has come down to lower than $20 per barrel. So it became very, very important and imperative to take a second look at the Appropriation Act.
Okay.
As well as the MTSS.
Okay. Now, what is your take on FEC's adjustment of the 2020 appropriation estimates to meet the economic reality occasioned by COVID-19?
Of course, when you also examine the fact that the economy has, had a downward trend in terms of shock induced by the COVID-19. Again, it became imperative to revise whatever has been on the table in line with reality. Because, like I said earlier, our major revenue generator has come down. And then if you take a look at the second revenue generator, generating base, which is custom, duties, custom tax and income, generator revenue from customs, the expectation is also down by almost, another 30%.
Okay.
And COVID-19 has made it so, so important that at the end of the day, you don't find goods coming in or going out. So again, taxation from the private sector, taxation from sectors like the manufacturing, the agri sector, the real sector has also reduced. Therefore, there is need to get the economy come back to what is real.
Okay. Now, in what other specific areas would you like to see a focus regarding the budget estimate adjustments?
Now, I think we need to go beyond the budget right now. That's what I think we should do. First of all, we should take a look, a holistic look at, articulating a kind of evaluation of the fall, in quote. To what extent has the economy fallen into hands of coronavirus? That's one. Two, that quantitative analysis will help us to underscore how much we need to put in force, what the kind of strategies we need to put in place. That's the second thing. The number three is that we need to invest now in the real sectors, just like we had a kind of emergency investment in the health sector because of coronavirus.
Yes.
We now have to look at the, the shocks, the sectors that got the highest shock, which is the manufacturing sector, the agriculture sector, the trading sector. And these sectors, the private sector, would now galvanize the growth that is required. And again, we need to begin to look inwards. I think that post-COVID-19, what we need to do is to begin to design a new blueprint, economic blueprint. Now also that we discover that the ERGP, the Economic Recovery and Growth Plan of the nation, is also expiring, outgoing by 2020.
All right.
We need to bring in a new one.
Dr. Okaha, just quickly, what is it in it for small businesses and the common man? What does this translate to for them?
What that translates immediately is that food will be on the table of the common man, which is the most important thing.
Of course.
And of course, knowing that we have come from a point where the lockdown has brought some shock, hunger on the common man, we need to invest in those sectors that require bringing food on that table. We need to therefore put in, now, God helping, we are on, farming season. And therefore, agriculture, which require a lot of inputs, government needs to put a lot of funds in inputs, provision and distribution to the farmers. And then the farmers will also produce and move down to the manufacturing sector. And I think there are also some sectors in the manufacturing that produce food and beverage. These are sectors that government will also begin to eyemark and then pick investments in these particular areas. All
right, Dr. Ken Okawa, thank you so much for your time. This is the much I can take from you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. You're still watching the news on NTA International, reaching you live from Abuja. Let's take a break now. More to come when we return.
Action. Make your home the place to be with GoTV's super cool kids channels.
That sounds fun.
From funky friends that'll keep even the little ones busy.
All right, everybody, let's do this!
To learn as you watch educational shows for curious young minds.
You can do some amazing things.
There's plenty for everyone. Tune in to our kids shows and get everything you need to keep the kids entertained and learning the fun way. GoTV, live it, love it.
Thanks for staying with us. 164 Nigerians have lost their lives to coronavirus as Burundi orders top World Health Organization's officials to leave her country. Adebola Brooksland Sunday has details.
Nigeria now has 3,737 active coronavirus cases, discharged 1,070 persons, while her total confirmed cases stood at 4,971, with Kogi and Cross River the only two states yet to record a single case. On the top of the rack are Lagos, Kano, Katsina, Bauchi states and the Federal Capital Territory, while Bayelsa, Benue, Imo, Anambra and Abia states have their positions at the bottom. On the dashboard of Africa Center for Disease Control, there are now 72,336 confirmed cases of COVID-19, with 2,475 deaths and 25,270 recoveries. Still in Africa, Burundi ordered the expulsion of the country's top World Health Organization's representative and 3 other experts coordinating the coronavirus response out of our country. The Foreign Ministry did not give reason for the decision, but said the 4 officials are declared persona non grata and as such must leave the territory of Burundi by Friday. However, United Nations investigators said they deeply regretted the expulsion of its officials supporting the country's response to the coronavirus pandemic. Meanwhile, the World Health Organization had said the novel coronavirus may never go away, as it is hard to predict when the pandemic will be over.
This virus may become just another endemic virus in our communities, and this virus may never go away.
Continentally, Europe is at the top of the table, followed by North America, Asia, South America, Africa, while the Oceania has the lowest number of infections. At about 7 p.m. Nigerian time, data on Worldometer shows that 299,619 persons have died, while 1,679,717 people have recovered from 4,471,968 confirmed cases of coronavirus disease. I am Adebola, Brooklyn Sunday.
Thank you so much, Adebola. And still talking COVID-19, Presidential Task Force's evaluation of East lockdown reveals gross breaches of its guidelines. Chairman, Presidential Task Force, Boss Mustapha, who said this at Thursday's briefing in Abuja, reiterated that vigilance, self-preservation and compliance with guidelines are crucial to defeating coronavirus. The chairman enjoined security agencies to allow farmers carry out their activities in the interest of national food security.
We remind all Nigerians that in this battle, vigilance is required, self-preservation is important, collective action is necessary, and compliance with guidelines is imperative. All this will help us prevent infection.
The Minister of Health, Dr. Osaigi Ihanire, said that the task force has deployed more PPEs and medical commodities to states.
Discussions with multinationals and developing partners such as the World Health Organization and Global Fund, who help us in planning our needs and our processes and our procurements. Funds are also being repurposed for use in further increasing our diagnostic capacity and providing personal protective equipment for our health workers.
Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed said it is the responsibility of employers of labor and media organizations to provide insurance cover for their workers. Nigeria did not place any order for the purchase of COVID-19 herbal products from Madagascar. Rather, it only accepted a donation from a brotherly African country in recognition of its efforts in finding a solution to the dreaded coronavirus disease ravaging the world. The Buhari Media Organization in a statement said it has become necessary to correct the impression being peddled by the People's Democratic Party, PDP, particularly its recent press statement, alleging that the Buhari administration is purchasing COVID-19 organic from Madagascar. The BOM said, contrary to claims by the People's Democratic Party, President Buhari has put in place robust and far-reaching measures, as well as judicious use of human material and financial resources to confront coronavirus headlong. It urges that all hands must be on deck in confronting this common enemy of the world instead of politicizing COVID-19. It says the Federal Ministry of Health and recently directed the National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control to take a look at a particular herbal cough medication, while the Traditional and Alternative Medicine Department of the ministry had already shortlisted not less than 10 herbal medicines for validation based on required procedures. BMO therefore called on Nigerians not to buy into misinformation and fake news being peddled around, but to continue to support the government in combating COVID-19 in the country. To other matters, 46 inmates from across the 7 custodial centers in Niger State have been granted pardon and released by Governor Abubakar Sani Bello in line with the federal government's measure of decongesting to curb the spread of COVID-19. Fatima Usman reports that the freed inmates were given tips on how to stay safe from COVID-19 when they are reunited with their families and society.
The 46 persons were released by Governor Abubakar Sani Bello based on the advice of the State Advisory Council on the prerogative of mercy. Based their advice on the grounds that 5 were of ill health, 1 has less than 6 months of his jail term to serve, while 40 others were on the ground that they had an option of fine of not more than 50,000 naira.
I'm very happy today. Thank you very much for I thank the governor of Niger State for a favor that he did to us.
The pardon is coming on the heels of COVID-19 pandemic when stakeholders are recommending social distancing and President Muhammadu Buhari identifying custodial centers for the congestion.
This is a demonstration of His Excellency's gesture to the less privileged.
When the inmates are less in number, the issue of classification and training the inmates of how to be reformed will be easier for us.
The pardoned inmates were advised by stakeholders to view things from different perspectives, behave differently, and seize the opportunity to make positive impact on their families and the society. All those who were pardoned were given stipends as transportation fare while they are scheduled to be escorted back to their homes by the Correctional Service Authority. In Mina, I am Fatima Usman, NTA News.
Now, the Zamfara State Task Force Committee on COVID-19 has presented hand sanitizers and some other personal protective gears to the State Council of Chiefs for distribution to rural communities in the state. The presentation of the items performed by Chairman of the committee and Speaker of the State House of Assembly was attended by all the 17 emirs in the state. Salamatu Umar Abdullahi reports.
The Zamfara State Task Force Committee on COVID-19 has interacted with all the emirs of the 17 emirates in the state on how best to curtail the community spread of the deadly disease.
Government has also trained health care experts on contact tracing and the management of both suspected and the confirmed cases. Ambulances and utility vehicles were provided to all general hospitals in the state and the isolation centers.
He urged the traditional rulers to, as a matter of agency, do everything possible in informing and enlightening their subjects on the dangers of the pandemic. Responding, the chairman of the State Council of Chiefs and Emir of Anka Alhaji Tahir Muhammad Ahmad and other emirs that graced the occasion applauded the state government as well as the committee and assured to enlighten the subjects on the dangers and safety measures. Highlight of the occasion was presentation of hand sanitizers, face masks and other personal protective materials to the emirs of the 17 emirates in the state. From Gusau, Salamatu Umar Abdullahi, NTA News.
In the Nigerian Television Authority, the NTA, a tireless frontliner in the fight against COVID-19 through effective dissemination of information on the disease, has been noticed and appreciated by a humanitarian group, the Ben Arkek Foundation. Archibald Basa reports that NTA Calabar is the beneficiary of the kind gesture.
On 31st December 2019, the World Health Organization announced a mystery pneumonia, which was later identified as COVID-19. Since then, the Nigerian Television Authority has been following every step of this journey with multiple stories, incessant headlines, and continuous updates. Amidst the challenges posed by the outbreak of the COVID-19, NTA Calabar has been at the front line creating awareness and disseminating information. This has earned the station the benevolence of this humanitarian group called the Ben Akak Foundation for its dedication to the fight against COVID-19 and encouraged the station to continue in its strides as a nation's television authority.
They've always been there, and oftentimes we overlook them, but they are very critical and essential. I mean, you can imagine this is the only television station that reaches to the nooks and crannies of Nigeria.
I felt that the media house should not be left out because they are in the forefront, they have been going out, and a lot of them are not carried along.
The General Manager, NTA Calabar, Mr. Boniface Ezekugo, is overwhelmed by the gesture.
We have also played that we also support them, whatever they are doing to help humanity.
The Ben Akak Foundation is poised to touch lives and impact on humanity. In Calabar, Achibombasi, NTA News.
Congratulations to the NTA family. And that's the news on NTA International at this hour. Thank you so much for being a part of it. I'm Elizabeth Omori.